Hello, everybody. Excited to be here. I'm glad that we get to be one of the first fun sessions today. So as they mentioned, I am Cait. I work at Firework, and very much of what we're focused on is bringing that same level of in-store customer connectivity to e-commerce environments, being able to kind of recreate that experience and deepen the customer experience digitally. So it's very apt to be on stage with two people leading pretty major teams on a digital-first company and environment too. You both have really impressive career track records. Joe, you've been at Walmart.com, Saks Fifth Avenue, leading big bad teams at both. Nigel, you've been at Amazon, Johnson & Johnson, doing a ton with teams in innovation and tech, and it's all sort of rooted, I think, from what I've read, in customer experience. So, given your career trajectories, I would love to hear about how you kind of you're using that experience to establish your goals at Zappos today. Joe, I'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. So thank you for that great introduction. I would say from every portion of business that I've been in, from working at Starbucks and cleaning floors like in college, that taught me a lot of humility. I'm like, wow, okay, I really need to finish this degree so I don't do this anymore. To a place like Forever 21, when we were in such a huge growth mode that was like, okay, how do we service our customers? What do they actually want? What do they need? To Saks Fifth Avenue, where we were trying to figure out who our customer base was, how to speak to them in the right way, what channels to speak to them in. Obviously, we were very store-focused and not necessarily digital. And then Walmart, where we were just kind of late to the game on kind of the whole digital experience. So overall, I think all of that taught me, and every single portion is, find out who your customer is. What do they actually want? What do they need? And talk to them. Even cleaning floors at Starbucks, I actually talk to almost every single one of the people that actually want to talk to me as well. Like, how's your day going? Did you enjoy your thing? Like, what could be done to improve this? Wasn't in the job description, but something that you just always do. And it was great to kind of hear from the ground up kind of what those kind of customers wanted. So I think all of that comes back into what I do today, is being customer obsessed. And this is why I love Zappos so much, because they are a customer obsessed company. And so every single thing that I've kind of learned has led me to this is, sometimes in corporations you just get caught up in like, well, this is what we do. And this is how this is the cog that we have. This is the machine. Instead of kind of stepping back and saying, who is our customer? What do they want? What do they really need? And how can we actually enrich their lives by giving them a great service? And I think that's something that is really key, just like taking a step back. It's not difficult, but if I ask everyone in the room today, do you know who your customer is and what they want and what are those paper cuts? Some people might not necessarily know that. They know what their goals are. But do those all kind of align? So that's kind of really what everything kind of culminated to this kind of role that I have now.
Love it. I also love focusing sometimes on the paper cuts. I think that's kind of where the most insight comes from. So I love it. Nigel.
I'm going off script. This crew of people has some of the best footwear.
I know, this part of this is great.
Nikki, your boots are everything.
Thank you.
Amazing. Oh my God. Sorry. Yeah. So Joe and I will be distracted the entire time.
Yes, I know.
Looking at the New Balances, the Ons.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm loving the footwear fashion here. So can I actually ask a favor? I'm going completely off script. Sorry, but it's going to be worth it for all of the people in this audience. For anyone who's a Zappos employee, can you just raise your hand for a moment? All right, look at those people. You can get a 20% discount from those people, myself and Joe included, if you hit us up after the talk or throughout the day.
Don't tell me that's with a good time.
So
Now they're hooked.
well, hey, I gotta make it worth their time. I gotta make it worth their time, right? No, I just gotta make it worth your time, right? Why do you want to listen to me? So I'm Nigel. Just like a kid from Brooklyn who feels really fortunate to have the experiences that I have today. I'm from a Caribbean family that worked extremely hard to make sure myself and my sister had incredible educations and have opportunities that my parents didn't have. And through that, I had those really formative experiences of working from the time you were 13 years old, and then part-time jobs in college, which led me to Macy's, where I was the Al Bundy of Macy's. And that got me kind of like hooked and interested in the whole dynamics of the retail game. And then I studied computer science, and then that led me to America Online. Some of you will know that company. For others, it's super dated, and you're like, wow, you really dated yourself. I usually like to try to present myself as youthful, and I never mention that. That's not even on my resume. But I thought this crowd would expect it. And then after that, I just had incredible experiences working in digital commerce for brands like Neutrogena, Tylenol, AccuView contact lenses, and then at Amazon Fashion, just incredible, incredible experiences because commerce at that scale is just massive. And I think what that's led me to at Zappos is just having a very thorough understanding of the entire funnel, knowing how to optimize things for search, detail pages, checkout, etc., being conscientious about latency in your pages and the load times, etc. So that's how I'm applying it now at Zappos.
It's also a beautiful segue to my next question. Thank you so much. So you both obviously lead huge, very important teams. How are your teams working together to create that full funnel customer experience?
Yeah, I would say at an organization, especially at this level, sometimes everyone has very competing priorities. It's probably the first company I've been in where everyone's very much aligned on what we want to do because we're all aligned on the customer. So we get aligned up front in our kind of huge meetings beforehand of like what do we want to do in the next 2, 3, 4 years, making sure that the tech roadmap aligns with that. We meet on a monthly basis now to kind of go through to say, okay, this is what we're doing working. Are we actually on track for this? Are we removing those paper cuts for those consumers? And then making sure that all the teams have kind of clear direction of where that is. And again, nothing is perfect. You know, communication is definitely key here. But I would say us getting very much aligned at our level and making sure that our kind of next clip below and that clip below all kind of are rowing in the same direction has been really important for us. And it really is segmenting not only for, you know, one customer, because obviously we have millions of different types of customer bases, but really saying, all right, I'm going to create a full funnel strategy for someone who is 25 to 35, who's very different than someone that is 45 to 55. And I'm not going to probably go and do a TikTok or a naturalizer. That's probably not going to be where that customer is. You know, but that will be something for a Birkenstock or an UGG or a New Balance or a Hoka or an On. So it really is important to understand who that customer is, get everyone aligned to it, and make sure that, again, we're just going back to what do the customers want? Does our tech roadmap, does our merchandise strategy, does our whole full funnel marketing strategy align to that? And then if it does, that's the secret sauce.
Nigel?
Just following up very briefly, I think Joe is a very tech-centric marketer. He's ran digital projects at massive scales with brands like Walmart and others, and I think it makes it very easy to partner with him. I also have a lot of sort of creative or marketing side to some of my tech experience. So I think what you'll generally find in organizations, I'm sure most of you see this, if the leaders of different functional areas get along really well, then their teams get along really well and work well together. I'm so appreciative to have this guy by my side. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pivot a little bit. Zappos recently made a change in marketing strategy. So you pivoted away from influencer-led campaigns with top-tier influencer talent, and you're leaning more into opportunities to highlight everyday people. And Joey, you said that a lot of that decision is rooted in the sort of constant pulse you have on conversations with your customers, what they're saying, what they're asking for, what they're buying. There's a whole, I'm sure, myriad of factors that are, so I'm curious just to hear a little bit more about that strategy and how you kind of continue to keep your pulse on what the customers are actually saying.
Yeah, I love that. So what we really took a look at was, okay, what do our customers want? And one of those things was that kind of personal emotional connection. And that's what our employees actually really value as well. So I kind of took a look and said, okay, we're putting these very glossy people up there, very aspirational, which is great. A lot of people do that. They want to see that person looking amazing in every single thing, but we don't always look like that all the time. I definitely do not. This is not like an everyday meeting, just FYI. I mean,
Yes,
sometimes, 50-50. But what we really wanted to do was showcase, all right, what are real life people? And is that going to resonate with customers? So we did kind of some VOC work, voice of customer kind of data, and customers actually really gravitate towards that because they can see themselves. So in our, we are very honed in on our running. Running is a huge portion of our business, but not everyone is a marathon runner. Is anyone a marathon runner here? Raise a hand. Ooh, okay, we've got a couple, amazing. So that's great, but as a percentage, you guys are probably 5% of the total, maybe 6. So you don't just want to show these marathon runners, running 25 miles and all of this stuff. We want to diversify that. So for this year, our running campaign, we took real life people. So we took a Marine vet who was an amputee, who never thought he would be able to run again. He's actually running now, which is amazing. We had a mom who just had her first baby, and she just kind of wanted to get back into shape. So she started a run club. And basically part of it started with her walking, which is great. That's also a way to kind of get active. Then we had this mommy blogger that was afraid about going into running, and now she is a marathon runner. So just showing that progression of all these different people in these campaigns to say you can kind of run as you are. It doesn't matter that you're not a marathon runner, but get out there, get active. And it was a really successful campaign for us. So we're really leaning in heavily on that. And then throughout the year, most of our campaigns are going to be from real people. Sometimes there'll be employees also in those campaigns, and it's really resonating with our consumer. People want to see themselves in the product, and that's what I really kind of gravitate towards. So again, authenticity is huge, especially now. You are full with just everything for your email inbox. I know I have 100 emails when I wake up in the morning. What are half of these? So we want to get that one that really kind of creates that emotional connection with our consumer. So
I love that. And once you kind of lured them in, they're on the site. Nigel, I'm curious to hear how you're using tech based on those customer insights, customer feedback.
And if you've been tuning us out, that's totally cool. But this you might want to listen to because it's super cool. So up until now, we haven't really had tools that are super easy for our product managers to use. But what I mean by that is all of you as marketers have been using voice of customer, and you've been doing surveys, whether it's quantitative, qualitative, research, getting insights, etc. But sometimes it's on order of magnitude of tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of records. And as we all know, humans are bad at manually parsing through tens of thousands of records. Now, we use that VOC, we use LLM, large language model tools, and we basically can do sentiment analysis or aggregate that signal to tell what is the most important focus area for our individual product managers. So for example, let's say you have a product manager who's focused on search, and they were to try to filter through those tens of thousands of records. It's really hard for them to get to what are the 5 most important things for me on my roadmap this year. And that's how we're using the tools today.
That's really cool, very interesting.
It makes the feedback loop way faster.
Yeah.
Cuts
way back on.
Exactly, and so you start to see it show up with your customers too, where they respond or they submit reviews and they say, oh, I just submitted this feedback not too long ago, and you actually heard me and you took an action and you improved a feature on the site.
Yeah, I don't think everybody usually thinks about the modifications to tech that you're making are not necessarily direct to consumer modifications. They're modifications that are going to empower your internal teams to build product that will feed to them.
Absolutely, it's both, right? Because for internal teams, if you think about the way a lot of marketers, market researchers work today, they have to either do manual queries, dashboards. It's a bit of work for extraction, but tomorrow's world is natural language processing. How many of X sold last Monday? And they can just type it in plain language, and analytics will give it back to them.
It's incredible. It just speeds everything way, way up. Which is another segue to my next question. So, we at Firework, a lot of what we've built our entire company strategy on is the insight that the in-store physical experience continues to sort of outshine the digital experience. It's very difficult to make that same level of human connection. The in-store experience is incredibly tactile and personalized. So a lot of our strategy is sort of pulling from insights from brick and mortar experiences and using them to enable experiences online. So I'm curious how both of you think about more traditional brick and mortar insights to shape what the site experience is on Zappos.com. Nigel, I'll start with you.
I don't want to answer that one.
Okay.
I mean, I can definitely start.
I feel
So,
like you do.
I know, I'm like, Nigel is being coy right now. I would say for us, kind of working in a lot of omni-channel retailers, kind of my entire career, really focusing on like, what does that in-store experience mean? What are customers actually like? And sometimes it's that instant gratification, and sometimes it's that, hey, I actually need some help with this. So Zappos, again, is really known for customer service. That is like where we were on. We've had those 16-hour customer service calls. We've ordered pizza for customers before, helped them find kind of everything. And listening into our customers, we actually, every year, I do it kind of every quarter, always go in and like, all right, 2 or 3 hours, let me listen to kind of what our customers are saying. All right, this is giving me some great ideas. So for us, some people really call in like, I need a running shoe, like I don't know which one to get. And so we try to utilize things in our marketing campaigns, say, all right, what are the things that customers are asking? So we have everything from how to clean your shoes, can you clean an UGG? You know, what is the best running shoe for me? So we're creating these great ways to showcase that online. And then also, I don't want to preemptively say this, but we are looking at kind of doing something that is bringing more of an in-store experience online from like a personal shopping standpoint. So if you just want to text someone and say, hey, I really need a new running shoe. What is the best one for me? That person will actually text you back and say, yeah, what are you looking for? Do you have a flat foot? Are you pronated? All these kind of things that people might not even think would determine what shoe they get. So we're really looking again at saving people kind of time, energy, and effort. You can buy a lot of these products at a lot of different places, but for us, we're trying to take the great things out of the in-store experience and try to mirror that online. Because some people say that in-store experiences are dead. I think the really great ones, and you see this coming out even from some of our competitors, like Dick's Sporting Goods is a competitor of ours. They're like massive mega stores. They have like all these different sports things, inside of their store. That is a great experience. We probably can't emulate that online. But what are some of those key factors of customers that actually love that? How can we bring that to life online as well? So that's what I'm really focusing on from a merchandising standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, then working with Nigel saying, hey, here's a great idea. How do we help implement this? So this is why we're lockstep on almost everything.
And that's why I wanted him to go first. So, and to follow it up very succinctly, he mentioned you want to bring out the best parts of the in-store experience online. And so the way that e-commerce companies have been doing this for a while, Zappos included and pioneering a lot of it, people are talking a lot about artificial intelligence. And what is it really? It's just mimicking a human behavior. So if we look at the search part of the journey, it's usually the first place people start when they get to a site. And so they type something in wrong, or they don't know how to describe something as well, right? They don't know how to say, like, it's a wide shaft boot. But whatever they type in, you have to take that signal and be able to do what the best salesperson in a store can do and help guide them to that product using something like Search Suggest. So those are the types of tools that we use. And similarly, on every part of the funnel, whether it's detail page, checkout, you name it, detail pages, you want to do what the best sales associates do. You want to be able to give the most rich information, the most insightful information, whether it's using collapsible fields or whatever, that help a customer get to the thing that calls to them of why they would want to make that purchase.
I love that, and I think that level of added personalization lends itself to creating a true connection with the customer in a way that they're going to want to come back repeatedly. My next question is rooted in some research that the Harvard Business Review did on emotionally connected customers. We had a lot of fun talking about this. I think a lot of times retailers, brands are thinking about customer satisfaction, which is real flat, like here's a survey at the end of your experience, how did it do? But it's not, that level of intricacy isn't enough, right? We need to make sure that we are really latching on to their emotional motivators, things like sense of belonging, feeling of security. They really result in high LTV. They're coming back repeatedly. They're recommending your product. They're less price sensitive, which I think is very exciting for most of us in this room. So as it relates to creating those emotional motivators, how are you thinking about that on site?
Oh, there are so many ways that we do this. So again, we can't just say one size fits all. So I'm going to give you a couple different examples. One is Zappos for Good. So we are really charitable. We don't really shout it from the rooftops. We give back to our communities a lot, whether that is donation of goods. Like we don't destroy our goods, we donate our goods. We have great drives, kind of, especially in the Las Vegas area, for a lot of schools to kind of make sure that every kid has a backpack. We actually do lunches and all of these things. So there's so much that we do to kind of give back. And our customers that know that really value us for doing that. Because it's not something that we're saying, shop with us because we do all these great things. We just do them because we know it's the right thing to do. And that's really important. And then another thing is creating that emotional connection. Who here has kids? Raise your hand. All right. Have you ever had a child as you're getting ready for school or going out that's like, Mom, Dad, my shoes do not fit? Always, consistent. I'm one of 7, so I'm sure I gave my mom a run for her money. I'm like, they don't fit, put them on. We'll get them tomorrow, So kids is a big portion of our business as well. And so you can opt into this, where if you buy a kid's shoe, we'll basically send you, before the kid is going to get out of that shoe and grow out of it, we're saying, hey, before these shoes come to Cait, we want to make sure that your kid is healthy, your kid is happy. Here's an array of everything you actually can purchase that's in stock right now. I mean, how amazing is that? That's something that just, again, creates that kind of saying, like, I care about you. I want to make sure that your child's feet are consistently taken care of. You don't have to worry about running to a store, racing around, seeing if they find something that they like, especially now kids. They're way more fashion savvy, like a 10-year-old, than I ever thought I could be. It is a real thing. I've got a lot of nieces and nephews, and it is very difficult. They're like, I want this in blue. I'm like, oh, okay, let me go back to my bio and see if I can get that. Cool. So I think things like that are ways that we kind of create that connection with our consumers to say, hey, we're trying to offer you something that really nobody else is, and really listening to you as well. Similar to Nigel's point, we've got great customer data that's like, hey, this was a problem. 2 months later, like, oh, wow, you actually fixed the problem that I was talking about. That's great, you're listening to me. A lot of people just want to be heard, and that's really important. So again, looking at what the customers actually want and implementing that, and sometimes we can go as far as CLT to like email them back and say, hey, you have this problem.
CLT is our customer loyalty team.
Customer loyalty team. We love an acronym, we love to throw it out, so I apologize. And we'll email them back and say, hey, you submitted this and we've actually fixed it. Thank you so much for giving us this feedback. And to that person, that is like huge at everything. We do handwritten cards as well for our consumers that maybe had a tough time, or someone that had a really good experience, and just sharing with them. So that's what I love. We have like these amazing, we call them like our Zappos lovers, these like raving fans of our company. And it's so amazing and refreshing to kind of see that and feel it. Like, it just makes me happy.
I had a wild experience when I first came to Zappos, because I'm like, okay, give me all the VOC data, give me all the voice of customer data, I want to read through all of it. So I was reading them one by one, just going through every single one. I'm like, I'm just looking for somebody to curse us out. And they're all so polite. It's like one right after the other. Oh, I noticed this problem on your site, and very detailed, like so much detail. And I'm like, why are they spending so much time doing this? They're so nice to us. And it's because of the 2.5 decades of relationship that Zappos has built with its customers, and it's really remarkable. I mean, other companies I've worked at, it's like you get cursed out, or like, why is your damn site not good? Or screw you guys. But for the most part, it's a pretty special customer base.
And Nigel, you've mentioned like the ways that you've focused on using tech to sort of speed up the customer feedback application process internally, but how are you thinking about your tech stack as it relates to deeper emotional connectivity, like more direct to consumer on site?
So let's just take the voice of customer thing, right? Sometimes a customer might say, oh, they had a problem with search, or they had a problem with detail page. Historically, the product managers for those features had a lot of trouble tracing those problems and getting to the root of it, and then pinpointing it, and then doing the application development to fix it. Now, we use a combination of taking the voice of customer data, tying it back to session information or clickstream data, being able to replay that session, oh, this is where the failure point was, and then having the software engineering team look at that, replicate it. Before it was like a needle in a haystack for our development teams, but now it's there's just so much more clarity and speed and precision in being able to resolve it.
I love that, and I especially love when like we can use speed in a way that deepens emotional connection and doesn't like take away the emotional connection. So now I'm down to my last question. It's less of a question, more of an ask. You could give one piece of advice to a brand or retailer trying to really create an emotional connection with the customer, or with obviously all of them. What would it be?
I would say, I love this, don't be a know-it-all, be a learn-it-all. Learn everything you can about your customer, and that's the easiest thing. And I know people come and be like, I know my customer, they're this, they're that, we name them, this is what they are, and that's what they do. That's great, but that's not correct. You consistently be in a learning mode, learn everything you can about them, have focus groups, have VOC studies, really get to understand what they want and what they need, and then go above that.
I think a brand and brands represent a promise. Our brand is our promise to the consumers or the customers that shop with us, and so honor your promise. I think that's the most right you can do by your brand, whatever brand it is.
Wonderful. Thank you. That
Thank
answered
you.
the question.